I'm Luke Summerhays, and I love Snorunt. Up here in the mountains of Nagano, winter is no joke. Snow can pile up meters tall, temperatures regularly fall below zero for days at a time, and we can go about a week without seeing the sun. Still, even this is pretty mild, compared to temperatures in places further north. In the northern prefectures of Japan, like the Tohoku region and the islands of Hokkaido, there are a plethora of yokai, legends, and traditions for the icy winter months. Meanwhile, in Canada, the sport of ice hockey was developed to let out some of the frustrations built up when trapped inside for a long, dark winter. Snorunt is a cute little ice-type Pokemon with a round black body, chattering teeth, and tiny hands and feet, wearing a Yukimino. The Yukimino is a type of triangular straw hat worn in northern Japan to keep the snow off one's head. I mean, these days I rarely see it worn by people, but I often see equivalents constructed over small statues or shrines to keep them safe in the winter. Pokemon Ruby tells us, Snorunt live in regions with heavy snowfall. In seasons without snow, such as spring and summer, this Pokemon steals away to live quietly among stalactites and stalagmites deep in caverns. Some of Snorunt's Pokédex entries bring to mind creatures from Japanese folklore. The Zashiki Warashi is a yokai told of in tales of North Japan. Small, childlike spirits, usually dressed in Yukimino. They inhabit houses and perform pranks and mischief, but are said to bring good fortune. Pokemon Sapphire tells us, Snorunt survives by eating only snow and ice. Old folklore claims that a house visited by this Pokemon is sure to prosper for many generations to come. Pokemon Diamond and Pearl tell us, in the Snow Country, certain folklore says a house will prosper if a Snorunt lives there. And the recent Pokemon Legends Arceus tells us, arrives alongside the first snow. It's thought that home Snorunt will visit will prosper for many generations. By tradition, one might offer a lump of ice made from pure water at one's front door. Snorunt's English name obviously just combines the word snow with runt, referring to the Pokemon's small stature. The Japanese name is Yukiwarashi, a combination of the words for snow and child, but obviously also referencing the Yukimino hats and the Zashiki Warashi spirits who wear them. And those aren't even the only yokai who inspired Snorunt. The native Ainu people of Hokkaido have a legend called the Korpuka, tiny people said to live under leaves. They were an inspiration for both the Kokori and Picori in the Zelda series, and subsequently Nuzleaf earlier in this Pokemon generation. Platinum's Pokédex entry for Snorunt again refers to this race. It is said that several Snorunt gather under giant leaves and live together in harmony. Whatever their gender, at level 42, Snorunt can evolve into another Pokemon, which combines a Japanese folkloric spirit with an item of winter clothing, the monstrous Glalie. Glalie ditches the Yukimino hat in favour of an armour-like covering of ice. Pokemon Ruby tells us, Glalie has a body made of rock, which it hardens with an armour of ice. This Pokemon has the ability to freeze moisture in the atmosphere into any shape it desires. It loses its limbs, floating menacingly in the air rather than walking on cute little feet. The scared expression is replaced by a menacing glare. Overall, the impression is like the Cacodemon from Doom, the Beholder from Dungeons & Dragons, or the floating decapitated head of the Oni, Shutendoji, from Japanese mythology. Shutendoji was a demon king whose horned head continued to bite at the hero even after he decapitated it. Pokemon Sapphire tells us, Glalie has the ability to freely control ice. For example, it can instantly freeze its foe solid. After immobilizing its foe in ice, This Pokemon enjoys eating it in leisurely fashion. Glalie's shape, a large white ball, is similar to an onigiri, the rice ball popularly eaten as part of a packed school lunch in Japan. Meanwhile, the armoured face is reminiscent of a hockey mask. The Japanese name combines these disparate origins. Onigori is a combination of oni or demon and kori or ice, while also sounding a little like onigiri and a little like Glalie. The English name isn't quite as layered as that, just combining glacial with Glalie to give us Glalie. As a pure ice type, Glalie has a lot of weaknesses. It would actually make a terrible goalie. It does have some attacking power, though it wasn't able to make great use of it, outside of the 5th generation, in which Glalie gained the ability Moody. This ability randomly boosted a stat by 2 factors every turn, which could make Glalie extremely dangerous in a very unpredictable way. Later, in the 6th generation, Moody was nerfed, but in exchange, Glalie gained a Mega Evolution to Mega Glalie. Mega Glalie has a gaping, unhinged jaw and big, bushy beard, looking every bit the haunted head of a Demon King. Pokemon Ultra Sun told us, "When it spews stupendously cold air from its broken mouth, the entire area around it gets whited out." While Ultra Moon tells us, "The power of Mega Evolution was so strong that it smashed Glalie's jaw. Its inability to eat very well leaves Glalie irritated." Which is, understandable. Of regular Glalie, Pokemon Sun tells us, "Legend says a boulder on an icy mountain absorbed the distress and regrets of a stranded mountaineer, giving rise to Glalie." With this origin story, and with it drawing inspiration from the legendary Shuten Doji, whose decapitated head haunted his enemies after death, it's somewhat surprising that Glalie is a pure ice type, with no ghost or dark or even rock element. However, in the 4th generation, we learned that a female Snorunt exposed to the Dawnstone can evolve into another Pokemon, which draws inspiration from classic Japanese folklore and has a hauntingly beautiful design. Snorunt can evolve into Froslass. Froslass is an ice and ghost type Pokemon, her silhouette resembling a woman in an elegant kimono of cool colours, wrapped with a red obi. If we look closely, we can see that Froslass actually has the same small round body as the rest of her family, which appears to be the head. The arms and what appears to be a body simply hang from underneath. Pokemon Diamond tells us, "It freezes foes with an icy breath nearly -60 degrees Fahrenheit. What seems to be its body is actually hollow." Froslass is inspired by the Yuki-onna, ghostly women who haunt the blizzard-stricken mountains of Japan. There are countless ghost stories of beautiful, pale women who offer warmth and respite to lost wanderers in the frigid mountains, usually at a terrible cost. Pokemon Heart Gold tells us, "Legends in snowy regions say that a woman who was lost on an icy mountain was reborn as Froslass." And Pokemon Moon tells us, "The soul of a woman lost on a snowy mountain possessed an icicle, becoming this Pokemon. The food it most relishes is the souls of men." One of the most famous stories sees a man meet a beautiful Yuki-onna, who spares his life at the cost of his silence. Many years later, he tells the story to his lovely wife, who reveals she was the very same ghost, waiting all this time to catch him breaking his promise. Pokemon Ultra Sun tells us, "It freezes hikers who have come to climb snowy mountains, and carries them back to its home. It only goes after men it thinks are handsome." And Ultra Moon tells us, "It's said that on nights of terrible blizzards, it comes down to human settlements. If you hear it knocking at your door, do not open it." Another famous story involves a man with a pale, beautiful wife. He loves hot baths, but she never joins him. Eventually, he convinces her to take a dip, but when he checks in on her, the hot water is empty, but for some ice melting away at the top. The name Froslass combines frost and lass, and the Japanese name is Yuki Manoko, combining Yuki or snow with Manoko, which is an old-timey word for girl, and essentially the Japanese equivalent of the word lass. This means that the name is pretty similar to Yuki-onna without, literally having the same name. Froslass had a little more of a competitive career than Glalie. It can lay down spikes, but, as a ghost type, it is immune to Rapid Spin, the move which would usually dispel said spikes. From the cute Zashiki Warashi to the monstrous Shutendoji and haunting Yukiona, this Pokemon family is made up almost entirely of cool references to Japanese mythology and folklore, which was lost on me as a kid, but is right up my street, as an adult who's just a big Japanophile nerd. When I was little, I just wondered why this cute little guy in a tent turned into a giant disembodied demon head. Music for Luke Loves Pokemon is composed by Jonathan Cromie. Artwork for the podcast is created by Katie Groves. Writing, producing, and editing is all by me, Luke Summerhays, and funding is provided by my lovely listeners at patreon.com/podcastio-podcastius. If you've enjoyed the podcast and want to help keep it online, you can throw us $1 a month, and in return, you'll get to listen to episodes early, basically as soon as I'm done editing them. I also love hearing from listeners, so if you want to talk about the Pokemon you love, please get in touch. The next couple we'll be covering are Spheal and Clamperl, but I'd love to hear from you about any Pokemon. And even if you don't feel like doing any of that, thank you so much just for listening. I love Snorunt, and remember, I love you too.